February 9th, 2004, a quiet winter night on a desolate road in rural New Hampshire. A black Saturn sedan is found crashed into a snowbank. The engine is still warm. A bottle of wine is spilled inside. The driver? Gone. No footprints. No signs of a struggle. Just gone. This wasn't a random accident. This was the beginning of one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries, a disappearance that sparked endless internet theories, suspicious silence from officials, and a grieving family still searching for answers. This is the story of Maura Murray and the night she vanished. Maura Murray was, by all appearances, a bright, promising young woman. She was 21 years old, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and a former cadet at West Point. Friends described her as quiet but driven. She was an honor roll student, a talented athlete, and came from a working-class Irish-American family in Hanson, Massachusetts. But beneath the surface of her seemingly perfect life was turbulence. In the months leading up to her disappearance, Maura's life was unraveling. In November 2003, she was caught using a stolen credit card to order food. She was put on probation. Not long after, she crashed her father's car late at night near campus, causing thousands in damage. She claimed she'd hit black ice. There were other oddities too. A breakdown while working her campus security job, where she was found crying uncontrollably. When asked what was wrong, all she could say was, "My sister." But her sister, Kathleen, later said there had been no major incident between them that day. Maura's boyfriend, Billy Rausch, was in the military and stationed in Oklahoma. Their relationship had its strains. There were allegations of infidelity, and text messages between them suggested growing distance. On February 5th, just 4 days before her disappearance, Maura spoke with Billy on the phone. What they discussed isn't fully known, but what followed would set everything in motion. February 9th, 2004, a Monday, Maura sent emails to her professors claiming there had been a death in the family and that she'd be gone for a week. Her family later confirmed this wasn't true. No one had died. No family emergency existed. That afternoon, she withdrew $280 from her bank account, almost all she had. Then she went to an ATM, where she was captured on surveillance camera. Her expression was neutral, unreadable. She then stopped at a liquor store and bought vodka, Baileys, and a box of wine. She also picked up a few snacks. Surveillance footage showed no signs of distress. No one accompanied her. Then, she got into her 1996 Saturn sedan and began driving north, far from UMass, far from Massachusetts, and far from anything she was familiar with. Her destination, unknown. Some believe she was headed toward the White Mountains, a region she and her father once visited together. Others think she was running away. But from what and to where? At around 7:27 p.m., a resident of Haverhill, New Hampshire, called 911 to report a car crash outside their home. The driver had apparently lost control and slid into a snowbank on Route 112, a winding rural road surrounded by dense forest. The neighbor came outside and spoke briefly with the woman at the scene, believed to be Maura. She appeared cold and disoriented, but insisted she didn't need help. "I've already called AAA," she reportedly said. But cell service in the area was practically non-existent, and AAA had no record of her call. Roughly 7 minutes later, police arrived. By then, Maura was gone. There were no footprints leading away from the car, no drag marks, no blood, no signs of a struggle. It was as if she had evaporated into the night. Inside the vehicle, officers found some personal belongings, her packed bags, a book about mountain climbing, the alcohol she'd purchased, some of it opened. The driver's side windshield was cracked, and the airbags had deployed. But there was no blood, and the keys and wallet were missing. Oddly, a rag had been stuffed into the tailpipe. Maura's father later said he told her to do that if the car was smoking, to avoid attracting police attention. But why would she be worried about that? That single detail sparked decades of debate. Was she trying to hide something? Or was it just a precaution, misunderstood and exaggerated? Within hours of the crash, a search party was organized. Police dogs, helicopters, snowmobiles, all combing the woods and frozen rivers nearby. The temperatures were dangerously low that night, dropping below freezing. If Maura had wandered into the woods alone, the chances of survival were slim. But no trace of her was ever found. No clothing, no footprints, not even a scent trail. It was like chasing a ghost. In the hours after Maura vanished, the search intensified. The Haverhill police combed the area, joined by state troopers and volunteers. Tracking dogs were brought in, and helicopters scanned the surrounding forest. Yet, not a single trace was found. The snow on the ground was undisturbed. There were no visible tracks heading into the woods or away from the crash site. Some speculated that a vehicle might have picked her up in those missing 7 minutes before police arrived. But if so, who and why? From the beginning, the investigation was riddled with inconsistencies. There was confusion about the timeline. The accident report was vague. Local police didn't immediately treat it as a criminal case. They assumed Maura was just a college student who'd run off and would soon return. By the time they began taking it seriously, it was too late. Key evidence had been missed. Witnesses weren't questioned in time, and surveillance footage from nearby buildings or businesses was either never collected or no longer existed. To this day, there's no confirmed record of Maura beyond 7:27 p.m. on February 9th, 2004. Among all the clues, the rag in the Saturn's tailpipe remains one of the most debated. Some believe it was used to deliberately stall the engine, forcing the car to stop in that specific area. Others argue it's a red herring, an act of desperation by Maura to keep the car running just a little longer. Her father, Fred Murray, said it was likely a trick he taught her to prevent smoke from pouring out of the damaged exhaust. But even he admits, nothing about this case makes sense. As media coverage spread, the public's interest in Maura's disappearance grew, and so did the obsession. The case became one of the first true crime mysteries to take on a life of its own online. Reddit threads, web sleuths forums, blogs, and YouTube channels all took part in trying to solve the puzzle. Some users claimed to have seen her. Others went so far as to accuse her family members of involvement. But most of the theories fell into 3 categories. One of the earliest theories was that Maura Murray simply wanted to disappear. Supporters of this idea point to her lies to professors, the email about a family emergency, her emptying of her bank account, and the alcohol she purchased. They suggest she was planning to start over somewhere new, that she wanted to escape the pressures of her life, legal issues, relationship troubles, mental health struggles. Some even believe she made it into Canada, crossing the border on foot, and started a new life. But critics argue, why choose a remote mountain road in freezing weather where survival would be unlikely on foot? Why crash the car? And why would someone with such promise vanish without a single trace or message? Not even a goodbye. Another leading theory is that Maura was picked up or intercepted by someone with bad intentions. Remember, there was a 7 to 10 minute gap between the neighbor's 911 call and the arrival of police. In that time, someone could have stopped, offered help, and taken her by force. Some point to potential local suspects, including one man who lived nearby and refused to cooperate with investigators. Years later, ground-penetrating radar detected an anomaly in his basement floor, but no search warrant was issued. The home has since been sold and renovated, and the window of opportunity, just like the woman at the center of it all, has disappeared. The third theory suggests Maura fled into the woods after the crash, perhaps to avoid getting into legal trouble, and succumbed to the elements. Temperatures that night were well below freezing. She wasn't dressed for the cold. If she panicked and ran, hypothermia could have taken hold quickly. Some believe her remains are still out there, buried beneath the snow and leaves. But after 2 decades of extensive searches, on foot, with dogs, with sonar and drones, nothing has been found. Not a scrap of clothing, not a bone, not a phone signal. It's like she was swallowed whole by the earth. No one has felt the weight of this mystery more than Maura's family. Her father, Fred, became the face of the search. For years, he returned to the crash site. He handed out flyers, pleaded with authorities, and appeared on television trying to keep her name alive. Fred has never wavered in his belief that Maura was abducted. "I just want my daughter," he told reporters. "No matter what happened, I need to bring her home." Her sister Julie has also spoken out publicly, both defending Maura from wild theories and criticizing law enforcement for failing to act quickly in the early days. Over time, the weight of the investigation and the flood of online speculation took its toll on the family. Some withdrew from public view. Others kept going, hoping each new search would be the one. But every lead has come up empty. Maura's case has been featured on multiple national platforms, from Dateline NBC to Disappeared on Investigation Discovery. In 2017, Oxygen released a 6-part documentary titled The Disappearance of Maura Murray, which renewed public interest and led to fresh tips. But again, no resolution. Police created a cold case unit to revisit old files. In 2021, they dug up a nearby site based on a tip from the public, but nothing was found. After 20 years, the case remains as open and as chilling as ever. Maura Murray didn't just vanish. She left behind a trail of unanswered questions, emotional wreckage, and a mystery that still burns in the minds of thousands. She was someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend, and her story became more than a case. It became a symbol of how quickly a person can be erased from the world, and how little we might ever know about what really happened. Who was she running from? Or what was she running toward? Did she ever make it? Or did the cold New Hampshire night claim her before anyone even realized she was gone? If you or anyone you know has information about Maura Murray's disappearance, contact the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit. Her story is not over, not until the truth is found. If this mystery gripped you, subscribe for more real crime stories